So this video is going to go over the changes to the rogues and the perks within Rogue Company within the new season update. And I do think this has made some really good changes to certain rogues, as well as just making them more individual as different characters. So if you do enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 2,000 subscribers. And don't forget to click that link and subscribe to our main channel as well if you haven't already done so. But let's start off with Anvil. So as you can see at the top of the screen here, we've got new speed as well as toughness kind of indicators to show what kind of character you're using. So clearly Anvil is more of a kind of a tough character. Now when it comes to Anvil, which is the character you're seeing on screen just now, you can see the kind of perks he's got available, but the main kind of focus for this is to give him as much health as possible. Now, after playing for some time yesterday, I was trying to get a good feel for each of the characters, what they're kind of all about now, because this is going to change what they are about. And Anvil is mainly a character to kind of survive the longest, especially within a gunfight. You can actually get up to basically 175 health with Anvil. Not only that, you get life drain, which is at epic rarity, which is actually definitely pretty solid, because you get 40 health back, especially after downing an enemy. And then on top of that, you're bulletproof as well, and you take 15% less damage to bullets to the body. So again, it's something that you want to keep in mind because you will be surviving a lot longer with this character than any other. So Anvil, in my opinion, is definitely a solid character to hold down objectives, especially if you know you're going to take a ton of damage. For beginner players as well, you do get an LMG, so overall, definitely a good change to Anvil in my opinion. Next up we have Cannon, and Cannon's very similar in the same way. Again, he's going to be more of a tougher character. He does have a bit more speed though, but that's because he's not got quite as much health as Anvil, and this is what I mean by making the characters a bit more individual. Now you do get extra armor, but it's 50% with Cannon this time, and not 75% as we got with Anvil before, and that's because it's epic rarity and not legendary. But you do get the legendary life drain, and you can take reduced damage from explosives. But on top of that, you can recharge your ability faster, so if you do like using the machine gun, then of course you can do that, but you will move around a little bit faster than Anvil. Overall, I don't think this is going to make Cannon like completely overpowered in my opinion. I don't think he's like one of the better rogues in the game at the moment. Next up we have Chak, and Chak again is one of the kind of more faster characters. Now he does have the higher toughness, and that's mainly coming from tenacity, which is going to give you the reduced to melee and explosive damage, which I do think is kind of important. You also do have life drain on there as well, and then also the main one in my opinion, and kind of what everyone should be aiming for when it comes to the perks for Chak, would be Energized. It's going to give you the ability to recharge your ability faster by 40%, basically allow you to revive yourself. I do think is an important perk, and I do think Energized is probably the one that you should be looking to kind of equip as soon as possible. Next up we have Dahlia, and again a very solid character now, especially with some of these changes that are taking place in the game. So first of all, we've got Energized on there, so we can recharge the ability by 30%, which allows you to revive your teammates. We all know what Dahlia's character does. On top of that, you actually get Lifeline as well, so you can revive your teammates 40% faster, and it also starts their health regeneration immediately. So bounce back is pretty solid, but Dahlia is more of a kind of team player character. So I think the most important ones here for Dahlia are going to be Energized and Lifeline. Tenacity is okay as well to use, kind of for more selfish reasons. Next up we have Dallas, and when it comes to speed and toughness, he's kind of like average, so it's not really going to be the difference maker of why you should choose this character. But the main kind of perks here that we're focusing on, and you can clearly see where they were going with this, because Dallas does have marksman rifles, and they're going to increase the headshot damage by 15% because of that. So it's going to make the marksman rifles a bit more powerful once you level up the character. On top of that, it's going to give you an increase to the magazine size and damage fall-offs by 30%, again because of the marksman rifles. They have smaller mags. Also is going to allow you to kind of use them more like a sniper rifle. So overall, this is good changes, but the main one here is Spotter. Now Spotter allows you to see enemy footprints, but on top of that, if you're shooting at an enemy, it's going to show them to your teammates, so you don't need to use Dallas's main ability. You can actually reveal enemies for 5 seconds just by shooting at them, which is going to make Dallas overall just more powerful. Next up we have Diamond. Again, they've done really well with this one because you want to recharge your ability 40% faster. Everyone wants that grenade launcher. It's kind of the main reason for using Diamond in the first place, to get players off objectives. So if you are playing maybe Strikeout, then you do want that grenade launcher as often as possible, and using Energize is going to help with that. But on top of that, they gave you Blaster as well, which increases explosive damage by 40%. So if someone's using maybe an Anvil or sitting on an objective, then you're going to deal more damage to them. And that is super important, especially with that grenade launcher. So they really thought about these perks and made them a lot better, made the characters, made the perks around the characters essentially, so definitely solid. Next up we have Glitch, and Glitch's abilities, or perks if you want to call it, are not all that great in my opinion, especially for the kind of character he is. The only one I feel like they never should have added to this character was the ability to recharge 20% faster. Now I'm glad it's not any higher level of energized, because that would be completely broken, especially because I don't think you should have a faster recharge time. But when it comes to Gunsmith and Bounce Back, I don't really think these are like difference makers why you should choose this character. Now Bounce Back is definitely a solid perk overall. I mean, I don't really see any problems with having it, but it's just not going to make this character stand out a bit more above the rest. So next up we have Glimpse, and again, similar to Glitch, I feel like these perks aren't really helping the kind of character's ability in any way. Now don't get me wrong, Life Drain is amazing, is definitely a solid perk, but it'd be even better on a different character. And then Restocked, again, really solid for giving you your ammunition back after you down someone. Definitely a solid perk again, but it probably would be better on a different character. So overall, I do think the perks here are solid, but I don't really think it's helping the overall ability of Glimpse. Next up we have Kestrel, and Kestrel I did think gets a pretty solid buff here. Energized on Legendary to recharge the ability 40% faster, absolutely solid for using the drones. On top of that, they increase the explosive damage by 30% with Blaster as well. On top of that, you do get Stalker, which increases your movement speed by 50%, which will help out an absolute ton. And on top of that, you also get Life Drain as well if you really wanted it. Now, it's not the highest level of Life Drain, but definitely solid. Now, the Shredder rounds isn't really too important in my opinion here, but mainly Blaster and Energize will help an absolute ton, especially when using your ability. So that is why I do think Kestrel got a solid buff. Overall, a good movement character, not the toughest character at the bunch. Next up we have Lancer. Now this is one of my favourite characters, and I've got quite a bit to say about this. So first of all, having Life Drain on Legendary is pretty good because you do need to kind of have that health there. However, I would have preferred having Life Drain on maybe Epic, and then having Energized on Legendary, or even Stalker on Legendary, and that would make Lancer an absolute movement beast in this game. Evade is already on Legendary with 20% movement boost when you're getting shot at, but having just a 25% movement boost in general with Stalker at rare is solid, but I do think if that was like maybe like 40% or something, it'd be absolute insane movement speed you'd get with Lancer, and it's not something that's completely broken in the game, or even if it was just epic level, that'd be pretty cool too. So I feel like they could have went more with the movement side. Overall, Lancer's still solid. When it comes to Mack, Mack is another one of those characters where I feel like they never really got much of a buff here. Now, they could have made one simple change that would have given Mack a pretty solid buff, and that was making Blaster and Bounce Back the legendary perks. And the reason for that is because having the faster regen, along with having that extra 25% armor after every down, would be absolutely solid for Mack. It'd make him one of the better characters, especially after downing players. And Blaster would just help your grenades do a bit more damage, considering your main ability is a flashbang essentially. So that would help a little bit as well. Next up we have Phantom, and I do think Phantom got some pretty solid changes here. So we've got Shredder rounds, which deal 20% more firearm damage, which I do think to armored opponents is going to be super solid. So someone like an Anvil, for example, you do need that extra damage because you are using a sniper rifle. Life Drain is going to be really good because especially at those longer distances, if you're cracking shots, downing players, you get your health back. Definitely solid in one of those 1v1 gunfights. Crack shot there as well, pretty solid as well. Extra headshot damage by 10%. Tracker rounds is really good too, so overall you can mark players. And then also on top of that, Stalker is going to help with movement. So I think the kind of perks that we got with Phantom definitely very solid here, especially gunsmith as well. Extra magazine size on a sniper rifle is always handy, so definitely some solid perks on Phantom here. I don't really use sniper characters all too often, but I can imagine anyone who is using Phantom will enjoy these changes. Next up we have Ronin. Ronin's got some solid perks overall. I do think they could have made some slight changes here to make it a little bit better. I wish Energize was maybe at epic rarity, and that would make it so you get your dagger a lot quicker. But overall, definitely some solid perks here. Bounce back on Ronin is definitely solid, very aggressive character, so it kind of makes sense. The Shredder rounds, maybe not all that important in my opinion. I would have probably maybe put Blaster on legendary because the explosive damage done from the dagger, maybe that would make a bit more sense in my opinion. Runway didn't get too much of a buff here. I mean, you do get energized at legendary rarity, which allows you to recharge your ability 40% faster, but it just gives you more ammo, so that's not going to really help too much within a gunfight. Gunsmith is definitely going to help on your sniper rifle because it's going to give you an extra bigger mag. On top of that, increases your damage fall off. So overall on snipers, definitely very handy. You also get quick hands as well, so that's something you do want to keep in mind. But in terms of the overall perks, I don't think Energize was the way to go with this one. Maybe quick hands on epic rarity would have been really good to reload your sniper a lot quicker. But like I said, we didn't really get the best perks Runway. Moving on to Saint now, and I do think this is actually probably kind of pretty broken at the moment, because I don't really know how this works. I've not actually tried it in game to see if it actually does stack, but as you can see here, we've got the rare lifeline, which allows you to revive teammates 20% faster and start their health regen immediately, which we already know what that does. But you also get helping hand on legendary rarity, which allows you to revive teammates 40% faster. So I just want to know, does this stack together to give you 60% faster revive times? Because that'd be absolutely insane, especially with energized as legendary rarity, so you can get the ability like more often as well. I feel like that's going to be completely broken if that can stack together. I'll need to actually test this in game and I'll let you know in a future video, but that would be absolutely broken if you can do that. That was going to allow you to revive teammates like stupidly fast. Scorch, in my opinion, got some solid buffs as well. So if we take a look at the main abilities here, so we've got Bounce Back, which allows you to regen your health fastest with the legendary rarity, of course. Tenacity is going to allow you to take less damage from explosives, so that's going to be extremely handy, especially as Scorch, because you take less damage from fire anyway. So this is kind of playing into the ability of Scorch overall, making it a bit more of a standout character against fire damage, just overall explosive or kind of over time damage. On top of that, you get 50% extra armor, which is really, really good as well. So just overall damage you'll be able to take on. And then on top of that, you got volatile there, so your explosive damage over time or fire damage over time will do more damage. So again, overall playing into the ability of Scorch, there's not really too much needs to be said here. Scorch is a very, very popular character inside Rogue at the moment. Seeker got a bit of a buff similar to Dallas here, so you got Crack Shot on there, which increases the headshot damage, especially when using the DMRs. Life range pretty good on any character anyway, so that's solid at epic level. And then the tracker rounds are pretty good as well, but I do think overall Dallas got the better buffs. So if you want to use kind of a more reveal character, then Dallas is probably the way to go. The only difference is the movement on Seeker is going to be a lot quicker, so you can move around a lot faster. Next up we have Sigrid, probably one of the least used characters in the game, even after the buff to the shield, where it does protect your feet and it also protects your head as well. But overall, I do think these changes will help the character a little, having bulletproof at legendary rarity with the 15% less firearm damage, and life drain as well will also help out. But I do think Sigrid is not going to be one of the main characters still. That shield isn't as good as Anvil's shield that you can actually plant down and kind of set it and forget it kind of thing. You can still only use your pistol to shoot, so a lot of things go into why Sigrid isn't really that good of a character in my opinion. So next up we've got Switchblade, which got some super good buffs in my opinion. So first of all, we've got volatile there, so when you do fire your RPG and it does do the damage over time, is going to increase the damage of that by 15%, so definitely solid. Stalker is always good for movement, especially since Switchblade is already quite a fast moving character in general, so having Stalker on there to give you 50% more movement speed, definitely very handy. Bulletproof's also very good at taking 10% less damage to firearms. Blaster's going to help an absolute ton when you're using your RPG, increases explosive damage by 40%. And on top of that, restock probably isn't really that good in my opinion for this character in particular. It allows you to reload your weapon after a down, which is okay, but I do feel like if Volatile was a little bit higher up on the rarity, maybe on epic level, and Bulletproof was maybe on legendary, it would make it a bit more of a solid character, but Switchblade was always really good anyway. Next up we've got Talon, and overall probably a character I don't really see get used all that often, and probably for good reason. The abilities are not the best. Now having Tenacity on there at legendary is definitely solid to help you survive a little bit longer. Crackshot's okay as well. I would think Nimble should have been on legendary to play into the character's ability a bit more, but considering the abilities aren't great, I feel like they did go the best way about this to kind of balance the character out a little bit more and give it some of the better perks because the abilities aren't so great. So you do get Lifeline on there to revive teammates, you do get extra armor, you do get Tenacity as well. So the Fixer definitely got the best sniper perks here because Crackshot and Gunsmith are probably the two ones that you absolutely want to have, and not only that, he's got them in legendary rarity, which is going to help out an absolute ton. So it's going to give you a bigger mag size, it's going to extend your damage fall off by 40%, but on top of that it's going to increase your headshot damage by 15%. So overall, the Fixer got absolutely solid perks, especially for a sniper character, and it's going to make it a bit more valuable as a sniper character overall. Energize is pretty good as well to have your ability recharge faster. Extra armor is always good. The Fixer is definitely a solid sniper character at the moment, especially with Gunsmith and Crackshot. I feel like Trench also got an absolute solid buff here as well with Energized and Armor. Now, because you can break the kind of barbed wire that Trench puts down, I do feel like having the ability to recharge it a lot quicker than maybe Vi's Poison would make a lot more sense. So that is why I do think it's an absolute solid perk to have. Volatile on there is obviously really good as well because you do take damage over time from the barbed wire, and having that at epic rarity is definitely solid as well. And then on top of that, you get 75% extra armor. So overall, I do think Trench got like a solid buff here. Movement speed's been buffed a little bit as well with Stalker, because I do like the abilities that kind of block off pathways and allow you to play more to objectives. So definitely a solid change for this character, and I can't wait to try it out. Umbra got some good changes here. Blaster, I don't really know if that's going to help us here because I absolutely hate the spider on Umbra, especially when playing against the character. Movement on Umbra is really good though, so that's going to help out an absolute ton when moving about the maps and just having good movement in general. When it comes to life drain, definitely solid at epic rarity. Gunsmith is good because you do get marksman rifles with Umbra, so keep that in mind. And then Crackshot's obviously going to help with those marksman rifles as well, so you did get pretty solid perks here overall. Blaster giving you extra explosive damage I'm not too sure about, especially with that spider, so I don't really know if that's a good idea, but we'll just need to wait and see. But the perks here definitely solid. Vi is my personal favourite character, and I do think Vi got a pretty solid buff with these changes. First of all, having Energize to recharge the ability by 30% faster, definitely solid, because I do use the abilities a lot with Vi, especially when trying to capture objectives or hold objectives. On top of that, Bulletproof, taking less damage, is always handy on a character like this because she isn't one of the most powerful characters when it comes to health. So taking that and Bounce Back, definitely going to help out a little bit when it comes to surviving a little bit longer. And then Volatile was probably the main one here because the poison pools only do 2 damage per tick when you're sitting in the poison pool, so an increase to 45% will make that around about 3 damage. Now, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you are already damaging your opponent, then it's going to help out a little bit more than you think. So overall, Vi got a solid buff in my opinion. I've already tried Vi out and I do think she's solid overall inside the game. If you want to check out that gameplay, we made that video yesterday and you can check it out at the end of this one. But if you did enjoy this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to try to reach our goal of 2,000 subscribers. Click that link and subscribe to our main channel, and thank you very much for watching.